Well, hello and welcome to the patio, which is in the garden, I guess. Today, we went to Buchanan's Native Plants. If you're local to Houston, you'll probably know that nursery. But if you don't, you should probably check them out because they're a very good resource. And by the way, in case you're new here, my name is Brandon, and I garden in Southeast Texas, just southeast of Houston, Zone 9B. And I've really changed my style of plants that I go after on a nursery trip. And normally I do these little nursery haul videos on Instagram in my stories section, but it's like always 20 slides long, and I need to be careful with that kind of stuff because I lose people. So I'm going to do this as a YouTube video today. Now, I don't think I'm going to edit in any of the pictures of these plants in full bloom and everything, but I at least wanted to show what kind of plants I go after when I go and kind of explain why it is that I chose them. And so I think I should probably set this on the ground and I will pick the plants up and put them on my little table here to show them. So I guess I'll start with the big pots first. I've been eyeballing this one for a few trips to Buchanan's. Now, they're about an hour away from me, by the way, a little less, so it's kind of a difficult choice to go. And with my severe ADHD and with that, what's it called? Executive dysfunction. I had a horrible time trying to decide to go there this morning, but I did because I saw online that they were posting that they got new plants in, and I was like, okay, I gotta go. So, first one is Joe Pieweed, or oh, I thought this was Eupatorium. Hold on. It says two things here. It says Eutrochium, and then it says Eupatorium fistulosa here. Well, anyways, Joe Pieweed. This is supposed to be a very large, shrubby, perennial plant that has pretty different colored flowers, I think mostly pink, and comes up from the base in the springtime mostly. I don't know if it's evergreen. I would assume that it's not, and that I will be chopping this back in the springtime. So this will be a very good visual screen. I think these like a little bit of extra water, so that's kind of hard to provide here in the garden, but I do have a few places where I think this is going to be good. And I don't know if I'm going to show where in the garden I'm planting certain things, but maybe I should. I need to pump out more YouTube videos, but I'm a little bit bad at that. So that's that. Joe Pieweed, pretty well known in the north. I don't think a lot of people grow it down here in the south. This is one that I've been thinking about lately, and I'm not sure if it's a cultivar or not. This one says heartleaf skullcap or Scutellaria ovata. I have a strong feeling that this one is like a cultivar because it's got silvery leaves, and that just doesn't seem right to me for a Scutellaria, but I don't know. I'm excited though. This actually reminds me, I found some plants recently. I've been collecting native plants like out in the woods and on roadsides and ditches and areas that are about to be demolished for construction. There's a lot of that going on around here. And I collected a plant from the woods. There's very numerous, which is an ethical thing you have to be aware of. You don't collect plants that look like there's only one of them, or you collect seeds, but it looked very similar to this. So maybe it's a Scutellaria. I'm still a little bit torn on what it is. I thought Stachys. Now I'm thinking it's some kind of a Scutellaria, but yeah, skullcap is the common name with this. And this would be a good plant probably for a shady area, and I've got my little tunnel between the greenhouse and the work shed. So this is one that I've been after for a few months, and I've been thinking about it, and I've been trying to find it in the wild to collect seeds or some small plants, because wherever this exists, it should be numerous, because these are heavy reseeders. So this is Zizia. I love the Latin name on this. Zizia aurea, aka Golden Alexander. I'm real excited about growing this one, and I hope I can succeed with it. But yeah, Golden Alexander, it's an Apiaceae family plant, carrot family plant. So probably has some edibility and medicinal properties. But I'm growing it mostly for the butterflies and just so that I can have more perennial spring ephemeral plants that come up very quickly and flower, and then maybe they die back, maybe they don't. Since I do supplemental watering, they would probably continue growing. Now, this is one that I grew last year, and it did so well. Actually, okay, so I should really try to show. I should have recorded more like the plant itself. I have some short video clips. Maybe if I'm feeling it and I remember, I will insert a clip here because I know I have one. But I had planted this last year, or not 2025, but 2024, and it grew and then died in the winter, and then I think it made seedlings. And normally proven winners, well, I thought this was a proven winners plant. I guess it's Texas Select. Um, so this is Biden's, by the way, because I completely skipped over giving the name. This is a cultivar called Pretty in Pink, and this did really well when I planted it. But then last year, seedlings came up, I believe, from this. I think it cross-pollinated with the wild Bidens in the area. We have Biden's Alba or Pilosa. I think we have both. I'm not sure which. They're kind of hard to tell apart, but I think it hybridized with this one, and the plant that came up this year had more white rather than the pink, and it was just a super strong plant. And I'm considering that one had a lot of seeds come up, so I'm considering planting the seedlings around. But I'm gonna treat this one a little bit differently this year, because now that I know like the habit of this, these are very drought tolerant, like tough plants. I think I'm going to plant it in a different spot this year and see what I can get this to do, because I think it'll be pretty cool. Don't mind the rain if you hear that in the background. I'm so sorry. I'm dragging on a lot. As you know, I ramble, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop, and that's just going to be my style. I hope you're here for it. This is just a basic garden plant for the veggies. This is onion chives. It's got pink flowers. And that's partly what I'm growing it for, because I've got, did I say garlic or onion? It's onion chives. I've got garlic chives everywhere, and they're really pretty whenever they flower. They got the little white flower head, and I would love to have the little pink flower heads coming up everywhere too. So there's like probably 20 plants in here, and I'm gonna split them up, and maybe I'll show how I do that. I am gonna plant after this video, so I might have a part 2 to this, showing how I plant. I actually showed in the video where I talk about planting things in the heat of the summer, I showed how I planted a lantana, and that kind of shows my process. I do that with almost everything now. I got 2 of these because, oh gosh, I planted one of these for my mother at her house, and that thing is just this big, beautiful bush. These are Artemisia. It's a cultivar of Artemisia called Powys Castle, or Powys Castle, I'm not sure. And if you plant these in the right spot, they get insane looking. Really pretty, really ornamental, not really good for much medicinally or anything. I mean, it's an Artemisia, it's fragrant, smells kind of just nice and pleasant. I had an Artemisia called Citrus Southernwood a few years back. I don't know if I have any of it left, and that thing was so fragrant, so beautiful. I loved it. And so I got a couple of these. And I have one that survived, but just like I said at my mother's, the one that I planted for her turned into this big bush. It's evergreen in the cold. It doesn't die in a harsh winter or anything. You know what harsh winters we get here in Houston. A few more vegetable plants. I got a Black Beauty eggplant because boyfriend really loves those. They're very nice. I guess I'll continue with the vegetable plants for a minute. I got a hatch chili. I'm trying to grow less cultivars of peppers and tomatoes this year, so I just picked a few. I got a hatch chili. Here's my tomato, one of them that we got. Roma. Actually, oh no. It was supposed to be a different type of Roma. Well, Roma. I thought I got one called La Roma. Maybe that's what this is. Well, I hope it's the one that I thought it was. It said it was different than the regular Roma. My boyfriend got this. I'm not interested in the hot peppers, but he is. So he got a Trinidad Scorpion. All right. Any more vegetable plants? Oh, yes. Another eggplant. This is one of the Japanese long eggplants, similar to the Ichiban. Last year we grew those, and the plant was beautiful. It was like dark purple, black almost, and the eggplants are beautiful, and boyfriend really liked them. I'm not a huge fan of eggplants, but he loves them. And then I've got another tomato. This one is indigo apple. Not sure how that's going to do. Our tomatoes tend to get wiped out by the leaf-footed bugs at some point, but boyfriend's starting to feel a little bit better about being in the garden, so he'll probably help a little bit more this year with just keeping track of all that stuff. Got a few herbs. This is Levisticum officinalis, I think, so that's lovage. I watched a viral YouTube video that may have been AI generated about lovage, and so I got kind of obsessed, and I wanted to pick some up this year and see if it survives our climate. Boyfriend must have got this. Nope, I got this. This is called calamint. This is it doesn't have the Latin name on it. I'm not sure. I think it might be a cultivar, but I grew it a few years ago, and instead of having so this is kind of related to the catnip and catmint. I think it's a nepeta of some kind, and nepeta, and it has long sprays of little tiny white flowers with the spots on them, and it's just really pretty. I'm going to try planting it in a different area this year. It was also perennial when I did have it planted, but I think it got shaded out by plants growing around it. Oh, I have another tomato. So, oh yeah, my wild tomato. So this one is called Matt's Wild Cherry. Supposed to be a very vigorous climbing wild tomato type with little tiny tomatoes that are very sweet, supposedly. So we'll see how that does. The most luck we usually have with tomatoes is when we have we throw our food scraps out and the little cherry tomatoes grow, which is actually, it makes sense, because if you think about how seeds and plants work in the wild, a lot of plants put out just thousands and thousands of seeds, and they land all over the place in different areas. And if a particular plant comes up in an area that's very suitable for it, then that plant grows, and then it continues those genetics on. And if that particular plant lands in a different area and the individuals like whatever area, the types of soil that they're growing in, they do well. And then you get all kinds of what's called speciation, where you get different species. And yeah, so plants are so interesting to think about. But yeah, so when you have like a ton of tomato seeds and you throw them out into a garden, and the ones that come up happen to be the strongest ones, or you get really big, massive, strong plants, that's kind of what's happening, is those plants were particularly well suited for the soil they happen to land upon. The label's gone from this one, but I believe we've got a coreopsis here. I'm excited about this. There's a bunch of plants in here. I'm going to separate them and plant them around. I love my coreopsis. They're so whimsical. Got another coreopsis here. I hate how they tend to take the labels with them. Such a shame. This is probably one of the really giant ones. Some of the coreopsis can turn into like a 3-foot by 3-foot mound of flowers. And let's see, I've got a plant that will probably die on me eventually, but they do survive for a while. I'll try to talk. I've been meaning to make a YouTube video on lavender. This is French lavender. You can get them to do okay here, especially for a little while. Usually the reason that I kill them is the reason that I kill most things, which is that I plant things next to them that are going to get a lot taller, and then those grow over the thing and shade it out, and then they get weaker and they die. And that's what usually happens. That's what happened to this lavender last year when I had it planted next to the greenhouse. Okay, I didn't show this one yet. So this is just Daucus carota, or wild carrot. Very pretty white umbels of blooms, and it's a wild carrot. So I'm hoping to add a lot more of this to the garden. I've got a ton of little Apiaceae family plants in the garden, but they're like little tiny things, and you know, I want some really big things, like really big pretty flowers in the spring. So I'm gonna plant this. I'm gonna see if I can separate this. It looks like there are multiple plants. I'm very gentle with my process. Like I said, I might make a part 2 of this video to show you all that. So that's Daucus carota. They had this year. Look at those beautiful roots. Oh my gosh. So this is another Physostegia, or it says Coral's false dragonhead. So Physostegia corellii. So those are the obedient plant. And I have one obedient plant on the side of the house over here, and it tends to come back, but it tends to come back a little less and less every year. So I'm going to try to put this in a better spot and see if I can get it to do well. These plants tend to like kind of wet, conditions, temporary bogs and marshes, and So I don't have that here so much unless we get a really rainy year. But I'm gonna try to think a little bit harder about where I plant this, and hopefully I'll have a nice, pretty plant. So there's that false dragon's head. I don't know, false dragon's head. Anyways, it's an obedient plant. Then I got these. I really like these. No flowers to show you. You can look it up if you want. This is Salvia sinaloensis, or sometimes it's labeled as Salvia bicolor. Yeah, that's what it's actually labeled as both on here. So some places you'll find it labeled as Salvia bicolor. I don't usually see the name Salvia sinaloensis, but these have just these striking jewel blue flowers. They're pretty small, and I love the color. They know what they look like, almost like my lobelia I have growing behind me here. If I can pop a flower off to show y'all. Yeah, so there's a little flower there, but it's stronger, more striking blue than that even. So I picked up a few of those to play around with them and try to plant them in a different area. I've lost them every year at some point. Maybe I get them to survive into the next year, and then I'm pretty sure the way that I've lost them is what I keep saying. They get shaded out. We've got Hyssopus officinalis, or hyssop. Boyfriend needs this for his witchcraft things that he does. Eventually he'll get on Instagram more, and I will show you or provide a link to his Instagram. But right now he just posts photos of himself and me in them when I don't realize he's taking photos. All right, we're like a little more than halfway through here. I believe this one is snake herb. I keep eyeballing this and thinking I'm going to grow it, and I haven't bought it yet, but I decided to buy it this year. So that's, the Latin name is Discorist linearis. I'm not that bad with Latin, but some of these names can throw you a little bit. Discoriste. That one's a little bit of a weird one for me. But yeah, snake herb. I'm gonna try, I don't know. Supposedly this one can be quite a ground cover and like cover a large area. I have a feeling it's just going to die on me. Just because it's native doesn't mean it's going to do well in your specific situation. Especially because I've got so many different microclimates around the garden. Boyfriend is trying very hard to distract me through the window here. Y'all can't see him, I don't think, but if you can, just ignore him. I bought a few of these. I bought one actually from there in the spring, and although I could propagate it, I like it so much that I'm going to add a lot of it to the garden. And this is white or fragrant mist flower, and there are a bunch of mist flowers. Oh my gosh. So this one is Ageratina havanensis. I actually don't know that this one is super locally native, but it's what do you call it, like a native analog. Like it's useful to the pollinators. It's got really good little white flowers, especially in the fall. But this one's blooming now, and I think if you have it in a garden setting and you're watering a little bit more, they're going to probably bloom a lot more than they do in the wild. So I bought 3 of those because I was like, I am going to propagate them and make more and spread them around, but I just wanted to pop a bunch of them in the garden. I have this saying I used to say on my Instagram a lot. You can either save time by spending your money or save money by spending your time. So saving money by spending your time is propagating your own plants, and if you want to save time by spending your money, that is buying more of the plants. You get, the instant gratification. So this one looks like a coreopsis, but it's not. This is Ratabidia columnifera, Mexican hat plant. I know exactly where this is going to go. It's going to go in my area where I need to fill in along the fence line outside. I don't show that area very often, but it's a nice area, and that's where this is probably going to go too. I bought this last year, and again, I need to come up with a term for that situation where I accidentally plant things next to something and it shades them out and kills them. It's going to be called the Brandon special. I don't know. So this is a 4-nerve daisy, and it did. I planted this last year, and it did really, really well until it died by shade. There you go, death by shade. We're gonna say that, death by shade. It doesn't have a flower on it right now for me to show you, but they've got really beautiful yellow flowers. They really don't mind very dry soils. Although I think they do prefer sandy soils, but I don't have a lot of sandy soil in the garden, and the sandy areas are so fast draining, and they are typically in the shade because it's under my huisache tree is where my really sandy area is. This video is going to be so long, but I'm so glad I'm doing this on here instead of Instagram because it's so many slides to go through. This is Cinna Lindheimeriana, I believe. They took the tag with them, so I'm glad I remembered that name. Velvet Leaf Cinna is also the name. It's a native Cinna. It's got, oh my gosh, just the most velvety leaves you've ever felt. And it's kind of a shrubby plant, kind of leggy and ugly looking some of the time, but perennial for the most part. I kind of put this one in a bad spot last year and it got killed. We gave it the Brandon special, death by shade. So I'm going to try again with this and put it in a better area. Two more things. We're near the end. Boyfriend really wants to grow nasturtiums for salads and things, and so we've got a nasturtium, even though I've got like 10 packets of nasturtium seeds in our workroom where I keep my seeds. This was there. Like I said, I'm saving time by spending money here. This is the Empress of India cultivar of nasturtium, and I really liked the dark kind of they're not bronzy, blue-green leaves. This isn't the nicest looking at the top, but when I pick plants, I try to pick ones that have really strong stems, that look like they don't have any internal problems. I'm kind of looking at it through the lens of divination. It's like I may as well have my tarot cards out, and I can tell by the look of the plant if it's gonna like do well here or not. So that's what I'm talking about there, you know, sensing through divination. So this is a columbine, a native columbine. I wanted to say thalictrum. I've been collecting plants, as I said, from the wild in areas where I think they are at risk or just doing really well and I can afford to take a few. And I've been collecting this thalictrum that I have growing around the garden now, and it is doing so well. And so it's related to the columbines, and I really wanted to add a columbine to the garden, but every time I buy them, they die. Well, I think that's because I'm planting the wrong ones. So this one, I believe, is, it says Texas native, so more of a native one. It's got two tags in here, actually. It's got a yellow one tag and then one that has yellow and red. This one says wild red columbine, but this one doesn't say Texas native like the other one does. I don't know which one is this is going to be, so it's going to be a surprise. I'm not even going to put the tags with it. I'm just going to go with it and see which one it is. But I think I have a better idea now of where to plant this. I think a little bit more shade, and we'll see. I think I'll do better with this one than I did with the ones in previous years. Also because I didn't use my technique of root washing in previous years as much. So that's the haul. That's everything, I believe. Yeah, I got them all. So thank you for joining me on this little Buchanan's haul video. It's kind of time to do nurseries. Oh yeah, let's talk about that real quick. So like a lot of people in the Houston area will be like, when can I plant things? That's a loaded question. You know, that depends on what you're planting. If you're planting natives, you can plant from fall through spring. And if you, like in 2021, when I first moved into this house, you were like me and you wanted to get the garden set up very quickly, you can plant natives almost the entire year, especially if you're supplemental watering them. But really the best time to plant is fall through spring and early summer maybe. Some things you can plant, you know, more throughout the year. Some things you really want to plant them in the fall. That's like shrubs and trees and such. But yeah, all the stuff I bought here today is pretty much ready to go out now. It's looking very likely that we have had our last frost of the year. But you know, that's not 100%. We'll see. I think our 10-day forecast currently ends somewhere around the 20th or 25th, and it still looks good. We got a cold front. I'll try to remember to pop up the forecast here. For me, I'm like, I know I can plant all of this without a problem. But yeah, so that's it for this video. Like I said, I may post a part 2. Don't get your hopes up, but I might. Boyfriend is going to help me with planting, so maybe I will have the energy to do that. Until such time, though, I will see you in the next one, and happy shopping. I hope that this inspires you to buy less invasive things, less vincas, less things like that, and buy more native things. There's so many pretty native things to plant. But I'm not trying to shame you for planting, you know, pretty things. Just don't plant the really invasive things. I've made that mistake, and it just doesn't end well. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.